Jaman Production.
So, welcome, ladies, to the December edition, first December edition of Tuesday Talks with Tonia. Today is December the 8th. And oh my gosh, time is flying. It seems like, I don't know, this year, as much as we want it to be over, it's dragging, but it's fast. So it's just really not making sense to me. So the topic of discussion tonight is, what do the lonely do at Christmas? And it's just something that I've been thinking about as we're in the midst of COVID and people aren't able to get out and enjoy family and friends, but some people are still doing it, and we're seeing the effects of that with COVID. And it's not just about singles. You know, I said to my sister earlier, I said it could be somebody who's in a marriage and they're still lonely because there's just no connection, or there's no love, or there's no support, or whatever. So it's not just about single people. It could be about, you know, people that are in relationships, or maybe you're in a relationship and you can't go to that person's home, or they can't come to yours. So it's just a whole different dynamic for everybody. It's not just singles per se. So that's our conversation tonight. And I am joined by Wendy Perry. She is wife, entrepreneur, mother, veteran, author. She is a phenomenal woman indeed. I've watched her for a while now. We met few years ago, and we've just had an instant connection, and I just love to see her and her husband. They're out and about. They have the Catalyst Executive Advising Group, and they do an amazing job with going into organizations and teaching leadership and, you know, life skills and those types of things. And so I was really, really excited to have her, because I pop in on her marriage shop some Mondays every now and then. And it's just, I love it. I love their energy. I love their conversation. I love the realness, because they are a real couple. They don't pretend their marriage is perfect. And I love that, because too many times people get misdirected or misled because they look, oh, they're the perfect couple, they don't have problems, they don't argue, and they'll say, oh no, that's not the case. Like, we have our own set of problems. So I wanted her to join me in this conversation, because she can come from that perspective, from, you know, the married perspective, but she has children and they're in college. And so what do you do if they can't come home, or if they have to be at home? So welcome, Wendy. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm so excited to have this conversation. And we'll just, you know, what I do with Tuesday Talks is we just have dialogue. There's no script. We just talk from the heart. We just talk from, you know, our experiences. And so tell the people a little bit more about you. We have some people on that may not know you like I know you. And so just give a little brief introduction of yourself, however you feel led to do.
Okay, well, thank you, Tanya. Thank you for having me. And hi, ladies. It's always great to share with you. I came out, I guess I don't even know, was that this year? It seems like
No,
it
it
was
was
a
last
long,
year.
last year.
I think it was
Okay,
last year. Yep.
last year. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, time does fly. But I came out
Mm-hmm.
then, and it was like, okay, what an amazing group you have. So thank you for inviting me, and I'm just glad to be here. And I think it is an important topic. So I think you said everything that there is to say about me. My husband and I do lead marriage ministry. And so you mentioned the marriage shop. So we call that our virtual marriage ministry. So it gives us an opportunity to continue to do that. We also are on a speaker team for family life. So we go around and we speak at marriage conferences, and we do marriage counseling. So that's just a little bit more about that. But you were exactly right in terms of being married, and still sometimes for some people being lonely, even though they're married. And that is we can talk about that a little bit more and unpack
Mm-hmm.
that a little.
Mm-hmm.
And having those college kids, whether they can come home or they can't come home. I'm just excited to just join you in this discussion.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm excited to have the conversation. For me, I've been single now. Oh, I've been divorced. Oh my God, 12 years now. So I was married for 18. Some people don't know that. I was married for 18 years. And when you are a part of a couple for that long and then you are not, it's different. But because of the type of person I am, I'm the outgoing, you know, fun loving, always around somebody. I think it really didn't bother me that much, because I still had family and friends, and I'm going to make a good time no matter where I am, who I'm around. You know, that's just my that's just my, countenance, my spirit. That's just who I am. But then there are times when it's like, dang, everybody got a boo, everybody got a husband, and everybody getting gifts from their boo. And I'm like, I get a gift from MJ or me, which I love, don't get me wrong, but I don't have biological kids. So that's another thing. Like the children that I have and raise aren't mine really, but I'm grateful to their parents that they allowed them to be with me. But still, it's just like, oh shoot, I don't have no kids. I don't have no husband, And now, me and my sister share space now. We live together. We have for the last 3 years. And my sister is such the Christmas person. Like she's decorated. She got the elf on the shelf. She hides from MJ every day. It's just like, and I like the holidays. I just don't like to decorate. I don't like to clean up. Like that, all that stuff is just too much for me. Like I like it when somebody else does it. And so there are those times. And now that my mom passed away last year, that kind of brings a little bit of melancholy to it. I think about my brother who's been dead for 12 years, and he was our baby. He was the baby. And so it's just a combination of things. But for the most part, I can be that jovial, happy person. But there are times when, those things creep into the back of your mind, and it's just like, but I'm the type that I just refuse to be depressed. I refuse to feel sorry for myself, because when I look out in our community or across the country and I see people who are homeless, people who don't have anyone, and I'm fortunate to have people still. So, I manage it by just, going the extra mile for somebody, or finding an organization or a person to serve, to take food to or to donate to. That's kind of my way to build myself up to say, hey, okay, Tonia, don't get to that place where you're feeling sorry for yourself because you have nothing to feel sorry for. So, but I know everybody isn't that way. Everybody's not as resilient or strong or whatever you may want to call it. So that's just my perspective on, so what I do at Christmas from a perspective of to not be lonely is, I call friends, I do my Christmas cards to family and friends, and just try to stay upbeat and engaged no matter what. So that's just me though. What do you have, Wendy?
Yeah, you bring up a lot of good points, right? Just because somebody is single doesn't necessarily mean that they're lonely. And, there's a difference between being alone and being lonely.
Mm-hmm.
And so what you describe really is that, that anxiety or that depression that goes along with feeling lonely, like you just long to be with someone, or you long for a relationship that, and you kind of want something. And when you're in that place, it looks like you said, like everybody else just has the perfect relationship. Everything is great. They're going on trips. They're always hugged up. They're always kissing. They're always smiling. And it's like, oh man. And at 2 a.m. you're in there, and it's like, man, it's just me. And we've been there.
Right.
And so I've been married for 22 years, but I do remember what that was like. And when you can surround yourself with family or friends and do the things that you love and really enjoy that when you're surrounded in community, whether that's with a church family or whatever, that can sometimes balance that out. Mm-hmm. So that you don't really feel lonely, even though you're single.
Right.
And so I think holidays really remind us of loved ones that we either when we were growing up, we got to spend time with family, or they remind us of times of being with friends. And this year in particular, during this pandemic, I mean, a lot of us are kind of missing that. Some of us are missing that. And so a lot of us, even if we're married or in a relationship, might feel a little lonely at, this holiday at Christmas, just like people who are not in a relationship. And like you said, your sister's there, and I have 2 daughters. And if I can just be real, sometimes it's good to not have anybody around. And I love them. Don't get me wrong.
Amen.
But when they get to be teenagers and then they're young adults, parenting adults is something. It's kind of like, just give me some time to be, let me miss you.
Right. Go away so I can miss you.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So, it's certainly a time to reflect and be thankful for what we're blessed with, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
But when we talk about this thing, when you told me the topic, I'm like, oh, that's like that song by the Emotions. Now
Yeah.
that's way back.
Yeah.
Then I couldn't get the song out of my head. What do the lonely do at
Me too.
Christmas? And then and it's like, man, if the lonely are listening to this song, you need a glass of wine.
Right.
You need to call up some friends because that'll
Right.
really make you feel bad.
Right.
So don't listen to that song.
Right.
If you are lonely, don't play that song.
Right. She's not gonna do it.
Play something else. Connect on a Zoom call. Play some party music or something, but not What Do the Lonely Do at Christmas. If I can't recommend anything else.
That's funny.
You know, you know, several years ago, a colleague of mine, and he was like a son. He was married. In fact, he's been married. Both of his sons are out of college, and one is married with it. And he called me with him, and he said, "Francine Scott," and I was like, "What?" He said, "What does the lonely do at Christmas time?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm single." I said, "I don't know. And why you calling asking me? Because you're married." And he said, "Well, you know what? I just asked my wife." And she said, "I don't know, but we lonely and we need to ask a single person what they do at Christmas time." So I think it's either way. You can have some depression, you can have some loneliness, you can think about loved one. My only biological sister was a Christmas person. She won, and then she was from the old school. When we was growing up, before we could put up the Christmas tree, we had to wash windows, and not just the front windows. We had to wash windows all over over the house.
Wow.
And but always, my sister was like, "When you come into Augusta," I was like, "Probably after Thanksgiving," and then I said. And said, "Oh, I'll be there the first week in December," because she wants her Christmas tree up. Thanksgiving that evening after we ate, we had to put up the Christmas tree. But in the 2 days, the weekend prior, we did
washing windows.
Wash the windows. Then when she passed away, my god sister was a Christmas person, and she passed away unexpectedly in February, right before the pandemic hit. And we're still trying to navigate some kind of closure, even though she wanted to be cremated, that kind of stuff. But we never we put closure, but we still have not did anything, a celebration of life in Georgia, because she was in San Francisco. Really, this would be the time I would get real excited, because I knew Beverly was coming from San Francisco and she was getting ready to do this whole Christmas thing. So it's just, it's kind of a mix emotions I'm having right now, because I'm not going to even get a chance to go to California, to Seattle with my only daughter and my only grandchild, who's 17 years old, and they're about to really, really go at each other, because he's 17. "Mama, I want to drive." "No, you drive. You can't get your license because you failing." And I think I need to go and try to do.
You need to go referee.
No, his thing is, I'm ready to do homeschool during the day and in the evening, so I can graduate and leave by January to come to Georgia so I can go to school. And I was like, wait a minute, wait, I'm ready for a teenager.
Like Wendy said, wait a minute, no. No.
Yeah, it's a different ball game. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No.
I was just saying it's a different ball game as they get older. I mean, when your kids are young, you spend a lot of time trying to make Christmas. We at least what we either didn't have when we were growing up, what we always dreamed about, and trying to make it so that they have these amazing memories. And my oldest daughter should be 21 this Thursday. Her birthday is December 10th. And she, for I think until she was maybe 14 years old, I would always say, I'm not putting up any Christmas decorations until after her birthday. You know, I would go out of my way. We're not going to do it because I want her birthday to be her birthday. And I said that out loud one time, and she said, I don't care.
Like, what's your problem?
And I'm like, you don't care? I mean, really? She's like, no, let's do it around Thanksgiving like everybody else. Because then it only feels like you have the tree up. So we jump through all these hoops, and we put so much effort and energy into trying to make it the way that we imagine it should be. Instead of sometimes just being in the moment and enjoying whatever it is. And I think that's true, whatever your situation is. And, you know, Tonia, you were saying that even if you're married, you can still be lonely. And what I'll say about that is, we used to do this thing in the marriage ministry. We'd have annual Christmas parties, and one game we would play, I came up with this, and it was All I Want for Christmas. And I would have everybody write down all of the things that they always wanted, whether it was something from when they were a child, something that they always wanted but didn't get. And then after we would do that, which, you know, some of us, it takes us a little bit longer to think all the way back to when I was a little girl, I wanted a baby alive, and my mother didn't get it.
Baby alive, Come on now.
And so once we did that, then I would say, okay, so now give that list to somebody else, you know, give it to your husband or your wife or whatever. And that gives them an opportunity. It gives them something that they can work off of. But more than that, I would also tell people, now go buy yourself that thing.
Yes.
You know, part of it is, when you're married, you may be hoping for or wishing for and dropping hints, even if you're not married, to your boo. And you're like, this is what I want. I saw this, and here it's on sale. You do all this stuff. You get to Christmas Day, and they did not get you what you wanted. And then you're all up in your feelings. Like, okay, you don't love me. Weren't you listening? And you can be angry when you have that anticipation, and it puts an expectation on people that maybe you shouldn't put on them. So whether you are in relationship or not, be good to yourself. You know, if there's something that you really want, there's nothing wrong with you getting it.
Absolutely.
There's nothing wrong with that.
That's what I do, you know, being single and having been single for so long. And I tell people, I work hard, so I play hard. Like, I don't deny myself much. And
at all.
My sister, like, you need to stop happening. You need to stop. I'm like, if I want it, I'm going to get it. I mean, it's just me. I don't have to buy for children. I mean, I do because I have godchildren, but if we were in the Coach store and I was like, ooh, I want this scarf. And it was the outlet. And I was like, it's Christmas, it's Black Friday, I'm going to get it. And she's just like, but because I don't have anybody to say, hey, I really like this, and expect somebody to buy it for me. So it's like, okay, you know, just go. But then there's the flip side of that is I become too independent, which is what I've been told a lot. Like, what you need anybody for? Because you do this and you do. I mean, sorry, but what am I supposed to do? Just wait on Prince Charming to come and save the day? Yeah, no, I'm not that chick, you know. I'll be like, okay, make my own Christmas list. My sister and I, we exchange gifts, so we give our list to each other. And, you know, I don't expect anything from anyone else because, like you said, Wendy, we put unreal expectations on people and we get disappointed. So to save disappointment, I just don't do that. I just, you know, if you get me something, fine. If you don't, it's fine too, you know, because I'm going to get it myself anyway. So that's just me.
You know, I have a life coach, and one exercise she told me to do, she said, what would you like for if you had a significant other that you wanted him to or to buy you, what would you like? Something simple. I love fresh cut flowers.
Yay, me too.
It don't have to be from a floor.
Nope.
It could be in, and she
Kroger.
said, why don't you go out and buy yourself why don't you buy you some fresh flowers? I mean, if you don't have anybody buying them for you right now, so buy them for yourself. And if that makes you feel good, then and it was so hard for me
Yeah.
to actually, before I started the coaching with and her name happened to be Tonia, but not this Tonia.
Yay.
He was telling me, and I was like, huh? And so one day I was in the store, you on a grind all the time because
Yeah.
I take care of my mother.
Yep.
And with the 13 months of campaigning, I just never had time to do all that. And then she said, no, tomorrow when you get up, I want you to go out and I want you to, I can't tell you what it is. I'm not saying buying flowers, just you're going to be in a store that you can get something that you like, that you don't really are in there. So I picked up the flowers. Look, I almost came home and gave the flowers to my mother, put them in my mother's room. And I was like, no,
They're for you.
at the dining room table where you almost have it all the time. Or in fact, put them in the bedroom so when you wake up, the flowers will be in there.
Yeah.
And you have to, that's one thing, I think that's one way that we can treat our heart. Because after all, Sister Wendy, I know we do have to protect our hearts, and who's the protector of our hearts?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Best protector.
Yes, that's so good.
Absolutely. That was good. Yeah. And you have to do those little things. And, even for people in relationships, Wendy, Michael, you have your husband, 22 years. People think it's always roses. It's not, there may be a holiday that you not even speak to each other. And it's like, how you want me to be happy? And I'm mad at this person that live in my house that I got to wake up to every day, because I did it for 18 years. There are some holidays. Now I ain't going to your mama house. And now your mama
Lord.
Here.
Oh, Lord.
You just have those moments where it's just not happy. And to be honest, that's when you probably feel more, to me, lonely when you do have someone and you really don't have them and you don't have that access and you're not, on the same page or you're at odds. It's like, okay, this is not how this is supposed to be.
Yeah. About that, right? So no, why you say no? We're always happy. No.
Right.
No,
It's too close to Sunday.
Not gonna tell that lie. In any relationship, there are ups and downs. I mean, I don't think that there's any relationship that we have, whether it's husband and wife, mother, daughter, sisters, it's never 100% of the time everything is good. There's always going to be some fluctuation in how good things are. But what I'll say about that is, if you are in a relationship that's not good, that's not healthy, that doesn't make you feel good, that you don't feel loved in, then that's not the relationship you should be in.
Right.
And so when you describe, Tonia, is, if you're suffering through your relationship, then that is not what God intended. That is not, it's not being in a relationship, being booed up, being married, so, because that's what everybody wants or says it should be. It is about really, being with somebody that loves you, that respects you, that builds you up. And so while, yes, my husband and I, we argue at times, we sometimes find ourselves at odds. In fact, we did this week. Just saying, what I love about him is that he is there to build me up. He is there to want to repair it. He is someone who genuinely and truly loves me, and I don't question that. And so that makes a difference. I want to be around him. So even when we fight, I'm feeling like, okay, when is this going to be over? But the opposite is also true. If you're in a relationship and you can't stand to be around that person, or you have to take a couple of drinks of wine just to be able to enjoy them, then that might be an indication that that's not the relationship you should be in. And it might be better for you to be alone than for you to be in a negative situation.
Yeah. And that is probably why I'm still single right now, 12 years. And because I won't settle. I won't settle just to be in a relationship. I won't settle just to say I have a boo or whatever. Like, I know what I like and what I don't like, what I'm willing to deal with, what I'm not willing to deal with. After 18 years of the wrong thing, I now know what the right thing is. And if you can't meet that, then keep pushing. Like, and a lot of times I get the, you're so mean, and I'm not. Like, I really am not. I'm just less tolerant than what I used to be. I got married at 19, so of course you have no idea what marriage is supposed to be like. And, but I also knew that you're supposed to be married till death do you part. That's what the Bible said. And so even, through that, I struggle with wanting to leave because I'm like, well, you're not supposed to, but this is not what it's supposed to be either. So, you finally get to that place where, you know what, I love me. And because I love me, this is my path forward, and it doesn't include you. So yeah, we're going to have to just go our separate ways. And so I think we have to love ourselves enough to know that we're worth love, that we're worth loving right. We're worth, the sacrifices that it takes to be in a relationship. And so when you get to that point, even during the holidays, like, yeah, I don't want to be with somebody who feels like they're forced to be with me, or like they'd rather be somewhere else. Go and be well. And God bless you. May the Lord keep watch between me and thee while we absent one from another. You get the benediction. That's just.
Oh, wow. Not the benediction.
Well, that's something. That's a whole word right there.
Right. Let the church say amen.
Amen. I had a girlfriend that would, she was a, let's say a serial dater, and she would pick up men in November and in January.
They go.
So she could get good Christmas gifts and good things for Valentine's Day. And I'm like, girl, I mean, but she got some good gifts. And it always looked like, it's like, man, I mean, she's getting everything. But we know that's really, and I can share that with you because I'm not saying her name, because who knows, she might see this on Facebook and YouTube, and she might see it and be like, why'd you put me out there?
Right.
But I'm saying that to say that, what we're really seeking this time of year or any time of year is relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not marriage per se. It is being connected with people who love us.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that in seeking relationship, it is highlighted, or it is, what's the word I want to say? It's amplified during holidays because we're surrounded with people gathering and images of people coming together and spending time together. And so if we spend and dedicate time to, as you ladies said, loving ourselves first, then we're better able to communicate to others how to love us.
Yeah.
And when we can do that, then we are able to cultivate the types of relationships that feed us and build us up versus the ones that drain us.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, and so I think when we're able to really kind of identify those relationships, surround ourselves with those people who build us up and love us, then we're not lonely. Whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, we're not lonely. And so I know we're talking about Christmas because that's in a couple of weeks.
But it's all holidays. But it's all holidays. Like
Valentine's
and birthdays.
Yeah.
Right.
And birthdays. And yeah. So I'm talking too much. Let me
No.
pause.
I'm gonna put a pin in mind about the significant days. Jasmine looked like she wanted to say something earlier, so I want to give Jasmine, hey Jasmine, an opportunity to chat.
First I want to say hi, ladies.
Oh, hi.
I haven't been on in so long, and I was like, okay, I need to get on because I don't have no excuse. We in quarantine. I have no excuse. But I actually have been talking to a friend of mine about this because this has definitely been something that I've been struggling with. I've been single, as we say in our culture, for a year, but I've been single for 2 years. And I was accustomed to situationships, just for the simple fact that it was a struggle for me to be by myself. And it's definitely been a healing journey for me, and just asking myself questions that I've never asked myself to get the right answer of why this was definitely a struggle for me to just be alone. Like, why did I have such a hard problem being with myself?
Yeah.
Like, that I feel like I can't get from myself that I have to get from other people outside of just relationship, companionship, and things of that nature, and shared interests or whatever. But this conversation is definitely helpful, because this would be the first holiday I think I will be spending by myself. Thanksgiving I was around family, but all in all I was still by myself. And I don't want to get to a place where I'm single, but I'm just so focused on work that I forget everything else, and I forget to nurture the relationships that I have. So right now I'm just trying to find that balance. So if you have like any suggestions or advice for someone that's young, still on fire in all type of ways, and just trying to learn how to control that and keep it at bay where it's not consuming my thoughts, because I don't want to be booed up, but
Yeah.
I got stuff to do, so it's just
Yeah. Wendy,
can jump in
I'll
on
let
this
you go
one,
first. Wendy, I'll let you go first, and then Stacey, you can tag on. Stacey, you had
Okay.
something? Go ahead, Wendy.
Stacy can go ahead.
Wendy, you go
okay.
first.
Okay. All right. So, Jasmine, I love you, and I love your honesty and transparency. I just, I'm watching you grow and just celebrating every new thing that you do, and you're inspiring to so many people. So I want to say that to you first. I love that you said you're on fire in so many ways.
Yeah. It's
Girl,
real. It's
we
real.
know. Yes, that
It's
is
real.
real.
It's
And
real. Even for older women. So it's not just
Right. Menopause ain't no joke, y'all.
Yeah.
No joke.
Yeah.
that from science, statistically speaking, women hit their peak between the 40s and 50s.
Yep.
So
I know. Look,
Yep.
we all be salty.
yes, girl, we know.
Right.
So I'm just like, oh, okay, I got 20 more years. All right, I need help now.
Yes. And I'll probably have to drop you something offline on the real on that one. That's not safe for words on this, but one of the things that you said and that we've been sharing, and Francine shared too, is being able to spend this season in your life really discovering what it is that you are about, and I'm not saying finding yourself, but learning to really deeply, honestly, through and through love yourself, and to celebrate who God made you to be and God's love for you. And I know that there's some sisters that say, hey, I know that God loves me, but at 2 a.m. when I'm in my bed and I'm wanting somebody to be laying next to me, that just doesn't do it. I recognize that. But sometimes we are in a place for a period of time in order for us to do that deep self-reflection, for us to identify who we deserve to have in our lives. So it's not just anybody being in place, but it is the person that God intended for you. It's the right person that's going to love you and treat you with the respect and everything that you deserve. And so this time is kind of a pause. It's not an end of story. It is not game over. It's a pause for you to spend that time really discovering all those things about yourself. And it's hard. But I want you to stay encouraged, because the more time you spend doing that, the more ready you'll be, and you're positioning yourself so that when he does arrive, you are at the right place. You're not still in the struggle. You're not still trying to find out you're there.
Mhm.
And I wholeheartedly believe that those things happen in the way that they happen for that purpose or that reason.
Mhm.
There may still be some healing that has to occur from before. And the one thing you don't want to do is drag all your baggage and your
Yeah.
residual with you from here to
Right.
here, because then you will be reliving all those things again. So
Yeah.
I hope that's helpful a little bit, but I just want to encourage you that this is not game over. It's
Yeah.
just a pause
Yeah.
until the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Stacey, did you want to share?
I appreciate that you're honest, like you said, on fire on all things. Because I think sometimes in our society, they forget that if you're a single person and you are not engaging in sexual activity before you're married, it's still a struggle because your genetics and your hormones are still there. And like you said, in our 40s and 50s, we're in our prime. Well, what do you do if you don't have a married partner to have married fun with? I mean, you can still have married fun if you're not married, but if it's not that kind of party for you, what do you do? What's been helping me a lot is exercising, which I never thought I would say because I'm like, I'm a big girl. I don't want to be bothered. But it's helping me because it gets out my frustration. Do you know what I mean? It's like that sexual tension. You work it out literally because then you're so tired, you just fall into the bed. But also to speak on what she was saying, until you can learn to be by yourself and to love your own company, it doesn't matter if you have a boo or not, you're still not going to be settled. And so I've been single my whole entire life. Like I've never had a boyfriend. And I spent most of my singlehood, adult years, longing for, wanting for, trying to get, what do I need to do? What do I need to change? Instead of just being still and thinking, okay, Stacey, who are you supposed to be? What are you supposed to be? And then when are you supposed to be? So in this season, I've learned to just relax because someone told me a long time ago, if it's for you, it won't go past you. But you
Wow.
have to be ready. And so for me right now, I just listened to a sermon. It was talking about there's this tree in the desert. I was like, I feel like that tree. It, for all intents and purposes, looks dead. For a dozen years or longer, it can go without rain and it's dead. But when it rains in the desert, just one time, it comes to life. It blooms, it greens, it flourishes. Plants are popping up, flowers are popping out, birds and trees and animals come to this tree. But for a dozen years or so, it's been dead until you get water. And the point of the message was God didn't tell you to make it rain. He said to prepare for rain. So you're doing the work now so that by the time it rains, you're golden. Now, for all intents and purposes, it looks dead, right? Because I'm over here just as dead as a doornail. But when it rains and you're ready, then not only do you get blessed, you are a blessing to others because they were saying that it provides shade, it provides nourishment for animals and other plants, but it also provides food for people in the desert. And I was like, well, dang. So be okay with the waiting. I hate waiting. I hate it so much, and I hate practice. That's why I quit everything I started. But God is teaching me to persevere. It's not fun. It's not glamorous. It's not the cute. It's not the sexy. But when you do these things, you reap the reward. And I always think about sometimes how I hate social media because they always, like she said, we're perfect. We're happy. Life's good. We started a business and now we're at $2 million. But you don't see the in between. And a counselor friend of mine, Mr. Burroughs, he said, it's always hardest in the middle. And you can't tell the beginning from the end because you're in the middle. It's hardest in the middle. People don't show you the middle, they show you the end result. But they don't show you all the work that they had to do to get to that. I made $1 million. It wasn't overnight. But with our media, it makes it seem like that. Enjoy this time because there's going to be days when you're like, dang, I wish I was single with no children. Oh, why can't I go back there? You know, like even for Thanksgiving, me and my sister were laughing because people were like, can we come hide out with you? We're like, sure. You know, they had their in-laws, their husbands, their wives, the kids, the dogs. They were like, dang, y'all over there just quiet by yourself? Mm-hmm. Y'all ordered food to go? Yes. We're like, you can come hide out. We got alcohol. So there's going to be a time where you wish that you were in this season, but be in the season and be okay with it. I always tell people must be present to win.
And like Stacy said, Jasmine, be ye ready, because got you still for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And just allow God to order your steps. And you know, sisters in their 60s still have needs too. I know y'all said 30 to 50 or whatever.
I know that's right.
It keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going.
Most of my advice came from women that were in their 70s. So
That's right.
I was like, oh my God, I'm still too young. No. I was not ready for that response. I was like, what? What does she mean? It was crazy because I was no lie, I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. So I was only like 20 years old. And one of my older relatives, was like 70 something, almost 80 at the time. And she was like, well, whoever your husband is, remember now, when make sure he leave home full and empty. I was like, full and empty? I was like, oh, I was like, ew.
That's wisdom right there.
Right. You take that to the bank. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Take that to the bank and deposit it. Yes, ma'am.
I was
And-
like, well, I mean, I'm going to take that advice because you've been married since you was 19. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, wait, say that again. Let me write that down.
Something works.
Yes,
Something works. And you
yes.
got to do what works for you.
Right.
Being married for 18 years, being married at 19, and then being single after 18 years, you know, I was married longer than I was in my mom's house. I left home at 17. And so that transition is a little different. And at first I was like, I ain't getting married no more. I'm gonna just play the field. I'm gonna be like the men. But that's really not who we're built to be.
Mhm.
And we can talk that talk, like I talk a lot of trash and all my friends know that. But the real me is like, no, I wanna be settled. I wanna be a
Right.
wife. I love being a wife, you know, but I had to learn to love me because I don't
Yeah.
want to be in a position where I'm settling because I'm not okay with me and
Right.
think something is wrong with me. I don't offer something, I'm lacking something, because we lack nothing. Everything that we need, God gave to us. We are lacking nothing, and no other person completes us. We're
Right.
already complete. We are an addition, and we're actually a help meet. You know, we're kind of like the fancy jewelry that goes along with the outfit. You know, we make it pop, we make it shine, we make it, you know, hey, everybody want to be like, oh, where you get that from? That's what wives to me should do to their husbands, you know. And so I want to be a wife again, but in the meantime, I'm just like, okay, God, now listen, you already know me because you created me. You know, I'm way too well. And at some point I'm going to be like, forget it. I'm just going to do me, you know, and that's not always the right thing. Cause sometimes you're like, girl, you know, you ain't supposed to be doing that, you know.
It's not going to end well.
But at the end of the day, what is it that you want? And you have, like, I started writing what I really want down. Like, he has to be X, Y, Z. He's got to do this, this, and this. You have to write it down, because if not, when this joker come over here and he only have 2 out of the 25 things that you thinking is him, no, go back to that list and be like, oh yeah, no. And we have to stick to that, and it's hard because we want someone and we're waiting, and so the first person come along and we're like, okay, yeah, this is it. And yeah, it's not, you know. So like I said, be ready when he shows up, but know who he
Right.
is. You have to
Right.
tell God, this is what I want. And when he comes, you'll know it, you know, but you got to let them other jokers go first, you know, just.
Yes.
And you have to be honest
Yeah.
to yourself too. When you write that list, don't write the list because what Facebook got on list is for the
Right.
perfect man, or a movie
Right.
that you saw was the perfect man. You
Absolutely.
have to write that list that you really, really want for
Yeah.
a man. And you know,
Yep.
it's sometimes challenging. You know, I never thought I would be a person to journal. But with my coach, I am journaling everything from, you know, I got a journal for this and a journal for that. And I
Mhm.
keep something in my purse now and just jot down my thoughts. And you have to think about what you're saying to yourself too.
Mhm.
I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh, you know, you got hips. You know, you need to get rid of some of that. Well, who told me I
Right.
need to get rid of my hips?
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Who
Yeah.
said
that-
that?
It's hereditary.
Mhm.
I actually was listening to a sermon about that, and he was pretty much, it was a white pastor, but he was pretty much saying that there is a miracle waiting in your mouth. And he pretty much came from Proverbs 18:21. And you hear it all the time, and it's just like you hear it so much that you kind of miss how much power is in it. It's literally in words and in your words and what you speak. And that this whole self-care journey, healing journey has been an eye opener. Literally, the third eye has definitely been opening up. And this alone time definitely has allowed me to get closer to God, so I can not only get to know him, but it helps me to get to know myself as far as my purpose, so I can start for or expecting someone that's going to be a purpose partner, not just my husband, but how we can come together and help each other in our ministries and help those ministries grow together. But my next question, or I guess concern, was I'm all for marriage. I totally am pro marriage, but a lot of things that I've been seeing lately is where couples just don't get married, but they're together. I know there used to be a common law in South Carolina. This with the older people, there was something that was common where they weren't married, but you knew they were together. They've been together for 30 years.
Right.
So what are your stances on a partnership versus just a marriage? Because it's like, y'all are together, it's not on paper.
Right.
It's not legal, if that makes sense. But so would God still honor that, or no? Just because we don't have a paper? And that was my thing, because some people just don't want to go through the whole legal thing. And if you're making a whole bunch of money, it don't matter. Like, we together, it don't matter. I don't need nobody in between to tell me how to take care of this. But the only issue was, like, if something happened in an emergency, I can't sign off on anything.
Right.
But it's just like,
Yeah. So
I don't know.
I got points on that.
I'll start and I'll let everybody else chime in. And
Okay.
I think for me, if I am a child of God, I have to believe his word, and he honors marriage. He doesn't honor boyfriend, girlfriend. He doesn't honor booze. He doesn't honor any of that. He honors marriage. That's the way he wanted it. So that's something he established. It's not man-made. It's not established for, the world. It's established for his children. So if we're his children, we got to follow the rules, and I get it. And years and years ago, yes, we did have a lot of common law marriages. But just like you said, if something happens and that man dies, you guys have a house together. If he had anybody, if he had children, if he had anybody before you, you don't get anything. And how can you put in this much time with someone, and then at the end of the day, you're left with nothing? Not only are they gone, but you're left with nothing. You put in time, you put in effort, you put in love and support, encouragement. You probably helped build whatever it is that he has. And then at the end of the day, to be told you're denied because you're not married. So number one for me is it's God ordained. I can't argue with God. As much as there are days when I just want to be like Wendy friend. Like, let me go get a boo today, and then next month. But that's not, that's not God. God said he honors marriage. He said he that finds a wife finds a good thing. So that in and of itself, that's the answer right there for me. Now, there are a lot of people who believe they don't have to be married because, we live together and we, have this, that, and the other. But does God honor it? And when he honors something, he blesses it. And if it's not blessed, it's cursed. And so that's my perspective on it. Now, you ladies can chime in if you like, but that's just how I see it.
I heard one time, and I never thought about this, but it made so much sense. Why would you want to be with someone for 30 years, 20 years, 40 years, whatever? Because it said that they're getting all the benefits of marriage, but they're not sharing the burdens by giving you their name. The burdens meaning they get to bounce out if something goes wrong or sideways. You don't have any recourse. But not only that, why would you not want that person to have your name or share names or however that works? But also, like my sister said, blessings, because you get all the benefits, but in a New York minute, they can bounce. So if you love me that much, then why don't you want to give me your name? Why don't you want to protect me in a legal way with your last name? You're getting all the benefits of a marriage, but it's not costing you anything. So you're doubling the joy, but you're not dividing the sorrow when you're just hooked up, shacked up, whatever people want to call it. At the end of the day, is it blessed? You could have children, you could have grandchildren, but that paper, it may seem insignificant to the world, but to God, that's his seal of approval or his stamp. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sorry, but I'm not giving you everything and all of me for this many years for you not to love me enough or value me enough or respect me enough to sign my name.
That's good. That's
That is.
good. Yes, and I mean, as you were saying that, I was like, oh yes, let me answer this one. Let me answer this one. Marriage is it's covenant, right? And successful marriages are that agreement between you, that other person, and God. It's not just an agreement that we make as partners and we're like a business. This is a partnership, and I get some benefits, you get some benefits. We're in this together, and maybe we both mutually benefit.
Right.
It is more than that. And as Tonia said and Stacy said, and the word says, I mean, you can go to Ephesians 5, God's example of the church, the relationship between Christ and the church is marriage. And when you're talking about being covered by a husband, it means that he is loving you and protecting you and providing for you when he falls under a covering, right? So the Bible calls us all to submit ourselves unto the Lord, right? When you find a man that follows the Lord, then yes, a man who finds a wife finds himself a good thing, but a woman who finds a husband that follows God is doubly blessed. And so when we talk about that, because when you're just in an agreement, if you have an argument, then that agreement can be ended just like that. And I can tell you that when you're in a marriage, it is more than just an agreement. It is more than us just making a real promise to each other. And you may be committed, but there isn't anything that really is binding you other than your words. And as you said, the power of life and death lies in the tongue. When we get angry or when we fall out, if we just said, okay, you know what, I'm out. You got on my nerves. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out. That's not what God intended. And everything that he has purposed in us is brought to full completion when we are in covenant, when we are in relationship, when we are married. Now, that's not to say that someone who isn't married doesn't have purpose and doesn't get to fulfill that. But just understanding that specifically to your question, just kind of having a partnership with someone doesn't have you operating in the full purpose that God intended for that relationship. So it's not just, well, if things get bad and you might bounce. It is more than that. It's deeper than that. It is that knowing that you're going to have my back. It is knowing that even when I'm at my worst, that you're still going to be here and you're going to love me through that. That when I'm not able to pray for myself, that my husband, you are going to pray for me. And that's what you get when you're married, not from a legal standpoint, but from a godly standpoint. So, am I saying that everybody needs to get married and marriage is just the way and it's the only way? No, I'm not saying that, because marriage is a choice. But so is not getting married, and so is shacking, And so is, well, I was about to say something else, but I got to keep it PG.
I know, pull it back,
I know.
We
I was right
understand.
there. Did you see? I
And
was
please,
right there. But it was not meant for us to just sleep around for the purpose of sleeping around. You were purposed, you were created, you were made in God's image for you to be able to bless someone else and for them to bless you. And so, yes, there are benefits, and there are mutual benefits to having a relationship where you're partnered up. But there is so much more of a benefit to being married with someone and both of you falling under that covering. I know. So I could go on. Y'all gonna get me going. I mean, I need to have Stacy and Francine in my pocket. The way we kind of unpacked that whole thing earlier, I was feeling that. So yes, I love this. I got to come back on another Tuesday.
Absolutely.
I
And
think it comes from, like you said, it's a choice to be single, because over the years, is it hard? Yes, a lot of people look shocked and amazed when they say, wait, you're how old and you've never had a boo? But I realized probably about 6 years ago, and it took me this long to get here, that I would rather be content single than miserable paired up. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is that old saying? I can do bad by myself. And so I'm like, listen, if it's not going to be beneficial, then it's going to be detrimental. So I will keep myself to myself until the right time, because I have pursued guys and tried to be the guy in a relationship. You can't make people love you or want to be with you or do quote unquote what they're supposed to do. Either they are or they aren't. That's not up to you. Because if that's the case, there'd be no single people. But when you get to a point where I'm like, I love me and I think I'm pretty darn skippy. And if you get me, it's going to be your birthday, Christmas, and Easter. But it took me years to get there. Do you know what I mean? So until I could be content with me, I was running and chasing and reaching and grabbing. And God's like, that's not going to end well, because I can't love anybody else or let anybody love me until I love me. And that's a hard place to be. As women, we're created to love. Think about it. We're the crown of creation. We're the finale. We're the pinnacle. We're the encore. So if we're missing that Adam, it's not for lack of trying. It's because God's like, no, wait a minute. You have to remember who you are. You are precious. You are honored. You are a treasure. Think about all the women in your relationships and in your lives. We have so many women that don't remember who they are, so they settle. I'm a treasure. So guess what? I'm going to wait for a treasure hunter that's worth it. If not, y'all can keep it moving.
Absolutely.
Keep it moving.
We also
Listen,
have
keep
to
it moving.
remember, and we have to remember too, everybody, and it could be even female women friends or a woman that come into your life as a friend. Some of them are not here for they're just here for a season and not for the whole.
Right.
So we have to be careful. The boo that come and woos you and do this, ready to cohabitate with you, and he still hadn't put a ring on it or not even talk in marriage. Then you may need to consider, like, I go back to my list of what I want,
right,
and how I want to be treated.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
how loved. If I want cut flowers, I want some cut flowers.
Ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am.
And I can get it myself, not being the independent person, because
Right.
everybody wants somebody to love. And I'll tell you, was it you? Somebody put on Facebook, like, I was in the bed last night, I woke up at 2 o'clock and rolled over and tried. And I thought it was so funny. You might have to have those pillows for a while,
Right.
but I think, single people, women, we have to be courage, and when the right person comes in your, in your life, you'll know it.
Mm-hmm.
You will.
Really know, but just settling just because you want somebody, I don't think is what
it never ends well
in a good relationship.
Yeah.
That is so good. So we did a summer single series and we talked about having that list and revisiting that list and looking
Mhm.
for red flags. And so
Mhm.
if you all go to, Tonya mentioned it on Facebook, the marriage shop, and go back sometime in the summer, we did that and we talked about that exactly. And I can tell y'all that my list when I was in waiting was 20. I had 27 things on that list.
Oh goodness.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, I got
Mhm.
real specific because I had
Mhm.
been through a
Mhm.
Yeah.
whole lot of mess
Yep.
Yep.
before then and dealt
Yep.
with a whole lot of people that
Yep.
didn't deserve me.
Yep.
And so, Francine, you said it, identifying what, not only what we want, but what we deserve to have,
Mhm.
and identifying specifically what a suitable mate for us is, not
Yep.
what the world says it is, but what do
Right.
you
Yep.
need?
Right.
But making that list and making it plain, write it down, make it plain, and give it to God.
Yep.
Mhm.
When we try to orchestrate and keep our hands in it and force it,
Yep.
that's when we end up with something that wasn't intended
Yes,
for
That's
us.
right.
sir. Yes,
And we
ma'am.
end
And
up
so,
hurt.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, because we get less than the best. It's
Yep.
not what God intended. So,
Yep.
yeah. So I made that list, and God delivered. That's all I say on that one.
He's like, I got you, boo. I got you.
Oh yeah, it was all 27 plus 3.
Oh, that's
She's like,
now. She
plus
said, plus
some.
3. Look out. Look out now. Plus 3. Come on now.
Plus 3, and he can cook and make biscuits from scratch. I'm just saying. Okay, y'all
Oh,
got me going. Y'all got me going. but
Well,
but
Bridget,
God has for you more
it's
than
for
what you
you.
even
yes.
intended or what you desire for yourself. That's all I say on
Yes.
that. He
Yes.
knows your heart and your
Yes.
desires.
Hey, Bridget Burley, I saw you joined us. Did you have anything you want to weigh in on this conversation? You or Adise or
Good,
Yvonne?
good evening, ladies. This was really great. I'm sorry I got on late, but so far everything that I have heard was it's very interesting. And the girl that said full on empty, make sure your man is full and empty. My grandmother told me that long time ago, and and it just stuck with me when she said it. Just brought back memories on that one. And it was something, but I can relate to everything that you all have said. And what do you the lonely do at Christmas? And I've been in a relationship now for a year, and it has been really great. And it's a long distance relationship. He lives in Atlanta and I'm here in Harlem, and so we drive back and forth on the weekends, or maybe twice a week. I mean, twice out of the month we'll see each other. And it's able to where you can learn that trust and that to have that balance by being a long distance. And we conversate every day, 2 and 3 times a day or more than that. And it's just learning to get to know who he is, and he's learning to know who I am. And it's a work in progress, and I'm just enjoying the moment.
Good, good.
Okay.
Adise, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, not really. I'm with my girl and more. I'm like I'm getting still like I feel better. I come from COVID, so that was
Thank God you're feeling better. Yes, you had COVID. God bless you.
and I have like really like this the real symptoms.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he wasn't mad. He was really like with the body chills and everything. And I've been listening like everything that you were saying, and I will say yes, like for the period of time of for the season when there is like holidays like that, it's true that you would like to be with your family, or even when you have a spouse. Or I've been married, so freshly like divorced, and I can attest that when you are not in a good relationship, you still feel lonely
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have. It's like if yes, you don't have nobody beside of you, and even like now I'm with my girl, I feel more peace and joy to enjoy the time with them than being like with somebody who wasn't there and worried about this person, about what the person is doing.
I've been more focused on take care of my girls and myself. And it's really like it's a blessing to realize that, say, okay, the good person will come on time if he come, if he can, like, but still I'm gonna take care of myself now. I'm gonna really like take time for me and enjoy life with everything is coming, like, because I'm just waiting and say, God, I know you have a plan for me, and just enjoying the journey, enjoying what's next. And yes, preparing like to bless people and to be blessed too. But during this time, just wait on the Lord to uh, make it, like, open the door and work with me where He wants me to be.
Yes. Thank you, Adi. And that is something, like we said, being in a relationship just for the sake of being in a relationship is not, that's not ideal. And so during the holiday season, it's always great to know that you love yourself. At the end of the day, if you know nobody else loves you, you love yourself and God loves you. And yeah, I know it may sound cliche-ish, and we want that physical, we want that tangible. I want to be able to reach out. And you were right, Miss Francine. I posted that because I'm like, dang it, that's like every night for me. The only time I got somebody in my bed is when it's MJ. It's just like, but people really during the holiday season, it's just like you want like the fireplace and the cuddling. And hey, Dr. Jackson, she's just getting out of session and she joined us, and we're also joined by Camilla. Thank y'all for joining us. We've had some good conversation, and it's been so good. Like, we didn't even think about the time because it's just been good. And I typically do an hour, but when the conversation is good, I just let it go where it needs to go, because Jasmine, thank her for being so transparent and honest as a young lady, because sometimes we're not even honest with ourselves. We lie and pretend like we're okay, we got it all together. I don't need no man. That is a lie. That is a lie. And so, but if you're able to be honest with yourself, then you'll know what you need to do to prepare. Like me and Wendy said, write you a list. Miss Francine, write you a list, stick to it. If he don't fit that list, then he's not the one. That's just a fact. If you know these are the things that you want, why would you settle? Like, I'm a snob. I'm a brand snob. I will go to Kroger. I'm not buying the Kroger brand nothing. If I can't have the name brand something, I don't want it. That's just me. And I stick to that. So, but that's what I want. Everybody is not that way. If you want the knockoff, or if you, and there's no, hey, to each his own. And that's what we have to really get to, even in relationships. Don't say you want a marriage like Wendy and Mike's, or don't say you want a relationship like such and such and such and such, because it may not fit for you and whoever. So you have to get what you want. You have to speak what you want. You have to write what you want, and then go from there, because the time he comes and doesn't give you something that you think you want, you mad. You in your feelings, and it's about to be a fight. So, if you make it plain right out the gate, and I tell people, even that I talk to or whatever, these are my expectations. If you can't meet them, sorry, sorry, not sorry. But we have to stick to that. We have to be true to ourselves at the end of the day. Be true to you. Anybody else want to add?
No, I think that is so good. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to share with you ladies. I've learned so much, and it's just been a whole lot of fun. I mean, I think, Tonia, you covered all of the highlights. I think that we sometimes find ourselves seeking what we believe we're missing, when what we may need to do is just reflect on what we have.
Mm.
And I say that, wholeheartedly, in terms of, some of the most meaningful relationships we have may not be our marriages, or may not be the relationship that we have with a significant other. It is, our rich relationships with family, or some of our friends that love us better than sometimes family even does. But to just reemphasize that, being with someone who is not lifting you up, or respecting you, or fulfilling you and loving you in the way that you not only desire and deserve, it may be better for you to not be with that person. It may be better for you to be by yourself. And being alone doesn't necessarily mean that you're lonely. But in terms of having those feelings of loneliness, or if you find that you're in a deep depression, I think Francine mentioned it, but I always recommend journaling. Just to kind of help you track your journey and be able to see how far you've come. But if you find yourself in that place, know when you need to get help. Talking to someone can be so helpful. A lot of times we suffer in silence.
Yep.
And suffering in silence further isolates you. So there's being alone, and then there's being isolated.
Yep.
And so when we're talking about being lonely is really an emotional space. It is a mindset. It is a way of being. Being alone is a choice. And so I know a lot of single women who are proudly single and proud of that choice.
Yeah.
And they live some very fulfilling, enriched lives.
We do.
And they are just killing the game. I mean, and so
Dr.
there
had to turn around on that one. She was like,
Yes, sir.
yes. So but thank you for saying that, again, it is the desires of your heart, not what the world says you should have, not what somebody else has, but what you and your heart want, and just make that plain, make it known to the Lord, pray on it, and stay encouraged even in the seasons where he has you in waiting. So that's all I will say on that.
Dr. Jackson said, hashtag killing the game. She's actually a therapist. So what you said, Wendy, is right. She knows that side of it where people, a lot of times we do suffer in silence as women because we feel like we carry everything and that we have to do everything and we can't trust. A lot of times it's about trusting somebody to hear your heart, trusting somebody to hear what you have to say without judging. And so Dr. Jackson is a therapist. My sister goes to one. I've never, I talked to a therapist, I think one time, and it was mandatory at work because we had so many deaths in our plant, and we were in a shutdown, and they were like so concerned for everybody's mental well-being. But Dr. Jackson can probably respond to that as a therapist, like, what is it that women feel like they can't share and be honest, like Jasmine, she was completely honest, like, yeah, it's a fire going on, and listen, I'm trying to do for my very best to do the right thing and not extinguish it just however I want to, and sometimes we win that battle, sometimes we don't, we're human. And so Dr. Jackson, at this time of the year, we're talking about what do the lonely do at Christmas, and as a therapist, what tips can you give to the women? We've already talked about the self-care, self-love, but then it's also more, sometimes it's just that physical, you want to hug or you want to snuggle up to somebody, and it's just like, do I just dial a number and say, hey, just come over for the night, and then, Wendy is cracking up at me, but I'm so serious, like, I may do that. It just depends on how I feel that day when I get up.
Hey, that's real.
Listen,
that's real.
If we were in a different state in Colorado, you can hire a boo. Not a word of lie. You can hire them, like if you want somebody to go to a wedding with you or go to an event with you or a funeral or whatever, you can hire a boo for the day. Not a word of lie. I was like, that is the most brilliant idea ever. Listen, I'm in the wrong part of the country.
Yeah. Dr. Jackson, what you want to add? You on mute.
Oh, she put it in the chat.
I'm sorry, I'm adding now. I'm getting away in the chat box, and I'm like, oh, I forgot I'm on Zoom, and I don't have to use the chat box. I'm sorry. So I think you guys are on point. We have to be okay with ourselves and be okay. It's okay to be alone and own your truth that you have to be a whole individual before you think about a relationship. Most people say, oh, I need someone to complete me, and we're going to make a two halves and going to make a whole. Honey, if you half and I'm half, I will hurt myself trying to fix you and your issues. We got to come together. We got to be whole apart. And when we come together, we make a force.
There it is.
So, and we have to understand that there are different forms of intimacy. and that it's okay to replace sexual intimacy with the type of intimacy that family or friends can offer. A good laugh, like you said, a good hug and things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to come from someone that we're in a relationship or someone that we have a situationship with. We have to learn to exercise our right to replace those types of things, you know, and they fulfill the same type of need. And it's just about us accepting that it's not always about sexual desire. That sometimes we can have a good laugh with a platonic friend, or that family member that makes us laugh, or that homegirl like you, Tonia, that makes me laugh all the time. So and those are internal issues that we have to work on, but we have to be honest about them and accept the fact that they do exist, and accept the fact that I can't watch Lifetime movies around this time of year because they make me feel some kind of way. Right. But on the other side, I am a superwoman, and I get it. Being single, but I'd rather set my standards than settle.
Yes, ma'am.
For less. And I think you said that earlier, Tonia, when you said, hey, you know, I have my negotiables and my non-negotiables. Yeah. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question, because I kind of said a few things, but I was busy typing in the box, like.
That's okay, because I know everybody doesn't read the chat box, so I just happened to look at it. I was like,
okay, I'm sorry, because you're like, Dr. Jackson, listen. I'm like, you don't see this. I'm typing real fast. Okay.
I appreciate it. Miss Francine said to let everybody know she was knocked off, but she said to give everybody a virtual hug and thank you for having her. And she said that God bless you and Merry Christmas. And you're also welcome to see her swearing in on December 29th on Augusta.
Yay. Yay.
Their invites are limited and it's at 11. So I'll put that on the Facebook page for Tuesday Talk. But this has been, Yvonne said, this has been a great conversation, and it has been. I'm so glad that everybody was able to share. I'm so glad that everybody was able to be honest, and that everybody, I believe, got something from the conversation. What do the lonely do at Christmas? We first love ourselves, and then we love those around us. And we understand that God loves us, and we have others that love us. And in the meantime, we're waiting for God to send who we want. We don't want to counterfeit. I don't want the knockoff. I want what I want. And if he don't meet those things, then we'll keep it moving, you know. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but it's a process, and it takes time, you know. We're growing and maturing every day at 50, and that was a pin I had in my thing. So for my 50th birthday, a male friend of mine that doesn't live here, he was like, so who's going to give you your first kiss on your 50th birthday? I was like, boy, ain't nobody kissing me because ain't nobody. So he was just like, you're turning 50, that's a milestone. I was like, and on to the next question. I know that in my face. I know I ain't got I don't need you to remind me.
Right.
I need you to remind me of that. I know. Leave me alone. But that's another thing with expectations of other people. You let other people put their expectations on you, and sometimes you do start thinking like, wait a minute, you know, you get the feeling
what's wrong with me, right?
Dang it, come on, man, Lord, what's up with that? Like, you know, I talk to God like that. I'll be like, come on, man. Like, really? Such and such got a relationship, she got a boo. What's wrong with? And I'm like, you know what? Come on, this is not even right and fair. And I know he probably be like, this girl right here. Like, sure, he said a lot of days at me, but I'm honest, I'm real, and it is what it is. Like, I'm like, okay, Lord, you know, I'm still a work in progress. So, you know.
That's right. Own your truth. That's it. It's about owning your truth and accepting that. It's okay. I told you before at night we were talking, I said I can have a phone call and have about 2 or 3 fiancés. Now, are they going to be worth anything?
Right.
No.
Right. Exactly. Tomorrow you're going to be like, what was I thinking?
Right.
Exactly. And the same here. You know, it's so funny. you know, for me, I laugh. So people don't even understand so I have a lot of male friends, and I've been that way my whole life. My mom was like that.
Yep.
We have this, you know, connection with men that we, you know, some women you just don't have with. And like my half god brothers, there's 6 of them. And from the time I was 15 up till now, even now, when I go home to Indiana, it's like they my watchdogs, they my, you know, police, they everything. And so people automatically assume that I'm
We're a
dating
couple.
certain people here in the city just because I'm with them all. But they like, we cool, like we have a good time, like we just connected, we just like, and so it's so funny. Then I'll get guys in my inbox be like, oh, I saw you was with such and such. And your point is, well, you got a whole boo over there, you got a whole baby mama over there. Don't be in my inbox because, you know, you might not like what you hear. So, you know, but it's just, I guess, I don't know if guys feel like you need them to the point where you're willing to accept whatever they're willing to offer. And some days, you know, some people may feel like, okay, I'm gonna just get this for the day. But then what about tomorrow? Then what about next week? Then what about a holiday when you feel like, oh, well, he was with me this week and then next week he went this one. No, I don't want that. Like, I'm too good for that.
I don't play well with sharing.
Not that. Now, I share a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I don't share well with others.
Yeah, no, you don't want the scraps. You want the whole meal.
Right.
I like that.
Right.
I like that, Stacey. I'm gonna type that up while I'm here.
Would you say not today, Satan? Not today.
But this has been.
I actually have one more question. It may be
Sure.
a little off topic, but I can't ask all of my friends because we're all in our 20s. But I've been approached by a lot of older men.
Older men.
So I'm trying to get an understanding of older men because I have this expectation of how they show interest. So it may be different when they're older and they're more established and they have a lot more going on. So they may move a little bit differently, but I'm just trying to understand, like, how do you know that someone is interested in you? Because sometimes I've been told that I'm just like, stuff just goes over my head. It's like, you don't realize that he likes you. I'm like, well, from what I'm used to, because of how he's approaching me, it didn't seem like he was interested, but he may be. I just don't know how they show interest, if that makes sense.
So, yeah, Wendy, you or Dr. J want to start?
I'm like, not yet.
I've been out the game for a minute, so I'm gonna let Dr. J take this one.
Honey, listen. Okay, so that's a twofold question.
Right.
So, and you let it be known, Jasmine. Hey, pretty girl. That's what I call you when I see you on Facebook. Hey, pretty girl. So listen, you let it be known. You can't expect what you don't communicate, baby. So whether they old or young, they need to be honest and real. It's time out for, you know, this. Now, I like the fact of showing etiquette and class. Don't get me wrong. But you need to make your intentions known so that there is not any room for, you know, misinterpretation, because that happens a lot in communication.
Right.
Now, as far as older men, younger men, their style, I would say this. Age sometimes doesn't produce maturity.
Nope.
It really doesn't.
You have to understand that the context that they are operating within.
Yeah.
Because I have seen 40 and 50-year-old 20-year-olds, if that makes sense. So it's about their brain state and about where they are in their life. I've had a 50-plus-year-old tell me, well, I might settle down in about 10 years. Oh, you waiting for your Medicare to kick in? Which one? You know, so, you know, I'm being real. So, and that's the same case with young guys. I think sometimes older men may think that they can get over on younger women, and sometimes younger guys think that they can get a sugar mama in younger women. So, Jasmine, I would say in these approaches, it's about you setting your standards and what you want, and you holding people accountable for clearly communicating their intentions to you in a classy and with class and with etiquette. Because older men, honey, you know, I don't know. Every now and then you may meet chivalry. I don't think chivalry is dead, but it's definitely on life support these days.
Right. Right. Ma'am. Say that one again. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am. Ma'am.
Sorry.
It's true.
Absolutely
I
right.
said what I said.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
I love that.
For an
Listen.
example, I would say, there has been a guy that he doesn't talk much and he's very well known. So he doesn't want a lot of people in his business. So it's like we do communicate, but because he's always on the go, we don't really talk on the phone. We just really message. And because we kind of are in the same, we communicate with the same people, he doesn't really worry about seeing me or talking to me because we see each other so much throughout the community or whatever the case may be. So that, I guess that's why I'm asking, because it may be like I'm used to somebody calling me and texting me all the time, but they was also broke and didn't have nothing going on either.
Oh, Lord.
So I guess my question is it different when they're like well known and they got a lot going on? Should I not expect that, even though
Well, honey, you believe in patterns, not promises. And you are going to have to distinguish the difference between privacy and secrecy.
Yes.
Right.
People
Yes.
Because all I'm
oftentimes,
thinking
I'm
is
gonna tell
red
you,
flags.
if this person has their stuff in order this much, then they are going to be strategic about making time for those things
That's
that
right.
matter. So
That's
when
right.
you're picking up the phone, texting me, call me, sir. So you set your standards for what
Mhm.
you expect. If you're not okay with the time or the messages or the energy that you're getting, then you need to clearly and directly ask those questions and distinguish between the difference between privacy and secrecy.
Absolutely.
Because I'm a
Absolutely.
proponent of privacy, but not secrecy, because
That's
that
right.
makes me think you want to hide something.
Right.
So,
That's
Right.
right.
and just understand people's patterns. If they have their stuff together, like you said, broke people do have a lot of time on their hands. But trust me, people with business about themselves make time for those
That's
things
right.
that matter to
They
them.
That's
do.
We
right.
work hard,
They
but
do.
we usually play harder.
That's right.
Do.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Wendy, I know you got something to add.
Oh, Lord.
No, I mean, I'm just enjoying it. I mean, she's exactly right. You know, before you get involved with someone, communication is so important. And it really does come down to really expressing your expectations around a thing. You know, a lot of you ladies have talked about settling and not settling and talking about what you deserve. But all women want to be pursued,
Yep.
even married women. You
Yeah.
know, there is something to being pursued and knowing that that person desires you and wants you and is outwardly expressing that. None of us wants to be on autopilot.
Right.
I think I know, or, you know, I can't live in ambiguity. I need to
Right.
know clearly,
Right.
you know, and so the way that we love hard, we want men to love us just as
Right.
hard or harder.
Mhm.
And so you don't change how you want to be pursued based on how that person is pursuing.
Right. 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 Right.
You
You
have
tell
to
them
be
to step up their
consistent.
game or step.
Yeah, yeah. And so if he's not willing to come after you the way that you want to be sought after, then he's going to miss out.
Yeah. And you
That's
tell them
right.
that. You tell
Yep.
them that. You say,
Yeah.
hey, this is what I'm used to, or this is what I expect. Like, and Dr. Jackson's right. You have to set those, like, if he texts you at 12:30 at night, it's like, now when people do me like that, I ignore until I feel like answering. And then typically it's not what they expect to hear. Because what you won't do is disrespect me, my only calling me when you're free. So that means to me that all these other 12 hours of the day, from the time you get up till midnight, you didn't have not 2 minutes to call me or text me or say, hey, how you doing? And don't text me to WYD. What am I doing? What you doing? Don't be texting me no WYD. Like that will set me off. Like literally it will set me off. So you have to communicate to them like, listen, I'm a respectable woman and I expect you to be a respectable man. You can call me during these hours and text me or whatever, but it can't be just a one-way communication and it can't be always in Messenger because that's so impersonal to me. Like if you really value me and if you really feel like you want to be with me, then you're going to have to get a little bit more personal. That's not to me that anybody can inbox me. Anybody can message me. That doesn't mean nothing to me, but it's the pick up the phone and call, like Dr. Jackson said, or text me or say, hey, I'll be free at such and such time. Can we? And you go from there. But, you know, I don't care if you're an older man or if you're a younger man, because the game don't change. Changes, but the game is the same.
Same. I like that.
If I haven't learned anything in my 50 years of life, I've learned the game and I know how to play it better than they do.
She does.
You know,
Stacey's like she does. That's right.
It's a true story.
No, I know how to play the game and I will beat you at your own game and you won't even know you can
Every time.
But, you know, but you still have to be like, hey, you know.
Right.
Men don't change. I don't care if they 20 or if they 50. Men are men, and a real man is a pursuer. He wants to catch what he can't have.
Right.
You know,
right.
The other ones that's playing, then you know it don't make them no difference because if you want, somebody else will. So to them, they like okay, whatever. They not gonna put much of an effort in because they don't have a reason to. But if you're that one that's like, yeah, no, you have to meet these standards, a real man is going to meet them and exceed them. And somebody who's not, yeah, he going to fall by the wayside and he going to X himself out. So it doesn't matter. Men are creatures of habit. If I don't know nothing else, men are creatures of habit. Women, we're a little haphazard, you know, but men, you can watch a man follow a man and his habits will let you know who he is.
They are consistent.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
Consistent.
I want to say this too about, you know, businessmen or people who are on their grind or whatever, entrepreneurs. And, you know, be very clear about your expectations specifically with those people. Don't make allowances for their busyness or their other priorities, because I think Dr. J said it. They will make you a priority if it's important enough. But the key thing that I want to say about that is you want their best. You don't want what's left.
Right.
Oh, I like that.
And people will try to, that's what they try to give you. Well, I've been out all day, or I've been doing this traveling, and so I'm tired, or I've been talking to people. Well, you know, hey, all of that is true. But if I am important enough and I'm a priority for you, then you're going to give me your best. You're going to reserve your best for me.
That's right.
So just keep that in mind as well.
That's right.
We're all out here grinding.
That's right. That's right. Including
and
you.
Women probably doing it double
Including you,
again.
Jasmine. You have your own business. You have a child. You work with your mom. You do a lot in the community. So that is not an excuse.
Not even a little.
No.
That's when you smile and say, thank you, next.
Ladies, we will talk all night. I am so glad to have had this conversation. It's been wonderful. It's been amazing. It's been eye-opening. It's been, you know, I think what we need during this holiday season. What do the lonely do at Christmas? We love each other, we love ourselves, and we find that space that we're invited to. I'm not going to force myself into any space that I'm not welcome. So with that being said, Wendy, thank you so much for joining. We're going to have to
love you.
Dr. J again. We've had some awesome combinations, and it's just been amazing. And I am so grateful that you guys took time out of your busy Tuesday to join us on this Tuesday evening, December the 8th. And I look forward to doing it again. We're going to have to get together and put us a schedule together at least once a month or once every other month or something, us coming together and just having real conversations. And that's what Tuesday Talks is about, being open, being honest, being who you are without judgment, without fear of judgment, without fear of feeling like less than. We're here to build each other up, to encourage one another, to love one another. That's what this is about, is a safe space. You know, we're having the conversation and we're just being our best selves. And sometimes our best selves, we fall down, we miss a step. we missed the mark, and it's okay. We get up and we keep it moving, and we encourage the next one, and we support the next one. So ladies, with that, thank y'all for joining us. Y'all have a safe night. Y'all be safe. And if I don't see you before Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and love each other and love yourself.
Bye-bye.
Wendy, I love you, Wendy.
Bye-bye.
I love you too. Merry Christmas,
so cute.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, peace. We love you too.
Bye, guys.
Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Bye.
She's
y'all.
so cute, ain't she? Oh, goodness.